We're at the halfway point of the USFL season, and Zach and I are here to talk about it. The refs got a new look. We're previewing Week 6 with picks. All that and more coming up next on the USFL podcast.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing edition of the USFL podcast. I'm the rep representing USFL Newsroom, the leaders in USFL news. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we got a big week for you. I'm telling you, Zach, it's a good week. It's a great week, and I'm telling you, I'm not a broken record, but it might be the best week ever. But before we go any further, I'm joined, as always, by my man, Zach Kallman. How you doing
I have
today?
Arrived in studio,
my friend,
being promised that I'm going to see something that is not the same as what I usually get. So, obviously, the teaser, I'm holding out. I'm giving it a shot, but I'm telling you, I came into this show not expecting anything of this new look ref that I better be seeing pretty soon.
Oh,
so,
we're getting there. We just have some housekeeping.
Because I need some joy in my life. I hope this isn't some deal with the Panthers that I'm just going to keep on sinking down to a spiral.
No. This is only good news. Good news for everybody involved. We just have a couple housekeeping items to get through. And I mean, let's start where everything starts. Social media, what the hell are you doing if you're not following us at USFL Podcast? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We even got that TikTok baby. And I'm telling you, I'm working on that summer stock dance. And talking about summer stock, June 30th, July 1st, come and join us down in Canton, Ohio for the USFL Championship, baby. Day one, we're doing a group tour of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We're going to have that flag. We're going to be prepared. We're not losing the crowd this time around. But day two, come and join us live for a tailgate before the biggest game of the year. And we're going to make, I think, some predictions in our midseason review coming up on that. But I'll tell you what, when you come out to summer stock, you probably want some fresh new gear. Well, I got some good news for you. Head over to breakingtea.com/USFL Newsroom or just simply use code USFL Newsroom for 10% off your order. And we got a new Gamblers gear up in there this week. In Mark We Trust. If you want that in any of them, you got them. You get signed up. You save 10% and it hooks us up a little bit. And I'm going to end it off on two things. For all our audio listeners, first, you're missing out today. We haven't gotten to the new look yet, but you're going to miss out. So make sure you check out on social media because I'm sure we'll get there. But if you're listening on the audio, here's what I need you to do. I need you to take a second, pause maybe, and go and review the podcast. We have so many damn people that listen to the podcast, and I never ask for just a pity little review. Sign us up. Get in where you fit in, drop a review, and then we'll end it with this. If you're on the video version, the preferred version, the full package version in full color, here's what I need you to do. Click the subscribe button. Click the bell. It builds morale. And I know some fans, Zachy boy, that need some morale this week. And I'm going to start it off. I'm going to get right into it. You know, Zach, I mentioned this. I think it was Monday, early Monday. I said, look, folks, I'm debuting a brand new look, no ref shirt. I got so many DMs. I got so many questions. I got so many people on the Discord asking me, ref, what are you doing? What's the new look? Where are you heading? I mean, but before we get into it, let's just use this as a time to reflect. A time to reflect, Zach, over or at least nearly 20 years.
Oh, Lord.
I've been wearing this ref shirt, holding it on my back, putting in the work of a ref, trying to make a name for the refs, show that not all refs are the bad guy. And you know what? It didn't work out too great for me, Zach. So I have a new look. And you know what? I might even debut a new name. We'll debate that here in a second. So let's just do a little countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right, baby. I'm the world's #1 Panthers fan. You know why, Zach? Ever since I put my trust behind your Michigan team, there's been a little team down south going all in, baby. I'm telling you what, I'm feeling Panthers blood is going through my veins. Let's hunt, baby. And if you can't see, Zach, this is one of a kind hat right here. #1 Panthers fan, here to represent my Panthers crew with my buddy, the #2 Panthers fan, Zach. But this is, you know what, Zach? This is our week. The Panthers, we're mauling this week. We're scratching away at the competition.
Okay.
And because the more I root for these Panthers, oh, man, all in down south. The best thing that could ever happen to me and my sanity as a Gamblers fan was to start rooting for the Panthers. I mean, even last week, I don't know if you remember this. Now, I will say I don't really like the fit of this as much as I do the ref shirt. Now, it is comfy. It does feel good. And I'm feeling like we're not going to get to the picks just yet, but I think everybody knows who I'm going for this week, guys. Now, Zach, honest thoughts. What do you think? Is this as unique maybe as the ref, or what are you thinking? Should I change my name from the ref to the Panther? Because I might.
I am sure you're going for Michigan this week, my friend. But I have one response for you.
Oh no. Did you I think you knew where I was going with this. So folks, this just so everybody knows, this was not planned. And I didn't expect a retort or a reverse curse. Now I will say the reverse curse has not really worked with me, but let's see. What kind of reverse curse do you have?
Reverse curse is me having to buy Gamblers gear, but that just seems wrong.
You were just leaving the show. I was waiting for you to come back with a new fit. I get it.
Hell no, I was just leaving the show.
Well, sorry guys.
You're going too far. That's what I was telling you.
Whoosh, right over my head. You know what? Maybe that's the reverse curse that I needed. But Zach, I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me just run through the scores this week, and we're going to jump into the action. I mean, first things first, kicking things off this weekend, we had the Maulers traveling to Ford Field to take on the Panthers. The Panthers, you know what? They started it out hot, but that was enough. That was all that they had. They went out 23-7 at home, 3 in a row. Moving up next, a pretty good game this weekend. We had the Houston Gamblers taking on the Birmingham Stallions without Kenji Bahar and going so far to take another W, 27-20 against the Stallions. Day 2 kicked off with the Generals and the Stars, and boy, oh boy, was it a day for kickers and breaking records with the Stars coming out on top, 24-21. And rounding things out was the Showboats doing what nobody thought they could do, taking down the last undefeated team in the league 17-10. So let's start it off here, Zach. Many have said this was the week of upsets, the week of surprises, the week of the unknown, but I don't agree. Now, I was wrong with my pick with the Showboats. I will say this, not that it counts,
I would have been wrong too. I'm
not that it counts.
Lock you for that.
Before the game started, I changed my pick on Discord. Not that it counts here. I knew it. I'm so in tuned with the league right now. Look at me, fan of the best team in the league, Michigan Panthers. Let's hunt all day, all night. I mean, as a fellow Panthers fan, how did you feel about the game, the opening game of the weekend where the Panthers lost 23-7 in Ford Field?
I mean, I'll buy you dinner so you can stop this charade. Is how far I will go at this point, so I can stop seeing a 3+ game losing streak, a homestand from hell continue. Because I don't understand how this offense has regressed so poorly in such a short time unless coaching has failed on that end. It's that simple. Teams must have figured this out as soon as week 3 and have continued to pummel the Panthers with the exact same style. Because how does Josh Love regress from having 2 solid to excellent games and then all of a sudden is becoming a clay mold of nothing out on the field? I don't understand it. Carson Strong got harassed for 4 sacks. He's out. You got Eric Berrier coming up, which, hey, I'm with some people. I want to see him play because at this point, I think anything is on the table. Mm-hmm. They did, of course, bring Brian Lewerke from the former Michigan State player, the former TSL quarterback, on this week because they needed it because of the fact that Strong's on IR because he took such a beating over the last week against the Maulers. You got to do something else. You can't do run first because the thing is teams are keying in on the run. The deal is you got to find something in the pass game. It's going to get harder because Ishmael Hyman just got knocked out as well, being inactive. There's going to have some gut punches. Defensively, I don't know what else you do as Michigan because they did everything right in terms of keeping up with Pittsburgh, and yet here we still are. Sad thing right there.
You know, you don't sound very much like a Panthers fan, Zach. Now, let me give you the full Panthers perspective.
Hey, if you're okay, but here's the thing. You as a Panthers fan, you're going to be positive about this game? Is that how far we got to go down the rabbit hole?
You know, here's the thing, Zach. This is the curse that follows me around. I really don't like the way that this fits me. You know, I guess this is the curse on me is bad fashion. I look like I got like jumbo arms over here. Anyway, you guys, the Panthers, they started out hot. They came out that first drive, they were looking pretty. I think that's what they need to focus on here. Whatever they did in that drive, focus on that. Now, the good news is, Zach, now that I'm on your side, only good things are going to happen to your team. We've seen that. Ever since I started following the Panthers 3 weeks ago, they've been doing amazing. And so I think that you're fine. I'll just leave it at that. But the Maulers, let's give the Maulers some credit here. I mean, can we take a moment to give the damn Maulers some credit? Because I think there's a lot of focus on, oh my God, the Panthers are falling apart. But there should be more focus on, boy, oh boy, the Maulers are becoming a scary team to play. Because in the beginning part of the season, we knew they're going to come at you from a defensive angle. And sometimes there's not a lot you can do. Well, if they can come at you with the offense now, I mean, you know, as we've learned from this weekend, and we'll get into this more with the midseason review, 2-3 across the board in the North. This is anybody's game. Now, we all know that the Panthers are going to make it. They're going to sweep the rest of the season, along with my gamblers all in, Zach.
Nah, so you only get one that can sweep. This is what's killing you. You're saying 2 are going to do it. That's why this is a reverse.
We already played once. We already played once. We could both sweep the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. No, not we can. We are, Zach. We are.
You see what you're doing is you're activating what I am used to in Chicago, which is being pessimistic.
No, sorry. No, I'm rooting for you. I'm a Michigander. I had a hard choice when we started this show. I said, well, Zach, you already picked the Panthers. I'll pick the gamblers. I'll go all in.
I'm a realist, my friend. I see when things are going south. There is no blind optimism. You will not find this here in my cold, dead heart when I know a team is falling down the rabbit hole. This is a realist talking.
You haven't been a Detroit football fan long enough then, Zach.
I've been a Chicago Bears fan. It's half a step above. That's all it is.
Above? I don't know about all that. Hey, those are
I wasn't born in the 80s. Or in the 70s. I don't know what a championship feels like except for one go of a year. And I was 11 then.
Zach,
that's it.
Zach, the damn Lions have won one playoff game in my entire life. I don't want to hear it.
That's why I said it's a half a step. We've only won a few more playoff games than you, my friend. I know. Well, this is going downhill. But the thing is, you got to do anything you can to fix the problem, which is the passing game. That's it. Because teams are just queuing into the run game and just basically daring you to throw. And you're watching basically optimistic drives. If I get a turnover inside my opponent's 30, I should be scoring. If I have someone that's throwing a pick and it gets run back for 73 yards, that's abysmal. If I have another interception go my way and it's on basically my side of the 50, within the 40 to 45, I should be expected to score. That should happen. That defense should be pissed off as hell at the fact that that offense was so horrible that I wish it was like the 85 Bears, where both sides would get into fights at practice and actively want to get at each other's throats for not performing, because it's that bad. This is me talking as a fan right now. You want me to get angry? I'm getting angry right now. There's no optimism here. We ain't doing that.
I think the Panthers are going to be just fine. I think they're going to be just fine. Now, I don't know. Maybe this will put you in a better mood. Let's move on to the later game that day. Now, there was some, I'll say, unjust controversy. Houston Gamblers taking on the Birmingham Stallions. Both teams a little beaten down, broken down, battered, beaten up, a little bit of everything. Gamblers, I mean, you know what? I wanted to strangle a couple people through the TV at the end when they went for two. I said, What are you doing, guys? Don't give me flashbacks. Don't give me that PTSD from last year of just making one little minor mistake at the end that ends up biting you. But you know what? They got it done, and they got it done without Kenji Bahar. Now, I'll tell you this, Zach. I had two choices on my new look. This one I felt was right because we all know the Michigan Panthers, they're going to sweep the rest of the season along with the Gamblers. But the other look and feel, the other identity, if you will, that I was going to go for is possibly the $1 Million Man. Because I don't know if you saw the check, Zach. I posted it on social media last week. You know, screw the Stallions, put that baby in the memo. Sign me up. The check cleared.
You can deal with me being on the opposite side of you as one person, but you really don't want to poke the bear on what was a discussion of referees.
Man, we are partying with Topo Chico this week. Sign us up. Maybe that's another reason I had to change my gimmick, Zach. You know, the other refs have said, hey, you know what? Everyone's natural instinct is going to be that ref dude online that, you know, grease the wheel, if you will. And so I said, no, don't worry. I got you covered. But I was thinking $1 Million Man. The problem was I have no money left after all the money that may have gone to somebody else. But let's be honest here. No more joking around. There was no funny play in that game. The Gamblers are just better. The Gamblers are going all in. I said it last week. I said it the week before. And I said it the week before that, Zach. All in. We're sweeping the rest of the season. I mean, you might as well get used to this phrase right here. Gamblers win. All in. We're getting signed up, and this is just the beginning. And I'm going to see you in Canton, Ohio, along with the Panthers. The Panthers and the Gamblers. The ref can do no wrong. Now, Zach, what are your thoughts on this game? I know you have maybe probably closer tied to the Stallions than the Gamblers just because of the tailgate groups and our time in Birmingham. What did you see in this game? Are you excited for Gamblers fans or are you worried for Stallions fans?
I mean, I'm more excited. I think I'm more excited for Gamblers fans, but I will put an asterisk on this game, not because of the referees officiating. I have a firm stance that I thought was called correctly throughout the fourth quarter, because if you watch that fourth quarter thoroughly, there were a lot of mental errors. Honestly, Birmingham imploded. It was a complete meltdown. After you had that beautiful 51-yard touchdown pass from Terry Wilson to Anthony Ratliff-Williams, which was a touchdown catch, by the way. I will stand with Mike Pereira's ruling on that. The rest was a meltdown. Endless penalties for at least the last 2.5 drives that you were given on both sides. I don't get the understanding on some of the cheap calls. Yes, the Gamblers had 0 penalties. There was a missed PI.
We're just that good, Zach. We're just that flipping good, all in. I mean, thanks. You're doing my job for me today, Zach. Thank you.
I call it discipline, and I also call a few times you can get away with. Sometimes the ref doesn't see everything. If you want me to be honest, a referee can throw a flag on any play. That has been like a underwritten ruling of any type of officiating. But the thing is that Houston played a disciplined game. I thought Birmingham defensively had Houston in a few situations in the fourth quarter that with a few, at least more situationally aware defensive backs not having to draw PI calls, you probably avoid going down 20-13. Then your ensuing drive, this is what kills me. And this is why I can't fully, I don't even support why some people are saying this is a rigged game, because here's the deal. You have the ball in your possession. Even if you want to discuss about the 4th and 4 call, or the 3rd down and 4 call that misses a PI. Okay, fair. You know what? That should have been called. Here's what happens your next 2 plays. And this is what kills me, because they still had the ball was still in their court. Picture this. Here's the scenario. 3 timeouts, minute 49 on the clock. You just got outside the 2-minute warning. Okay. It's 4th and 4. All right. Nice. I'm going for it, and I'm at my, if I'm double remembering this right there, my own 32, and that's the first red flag. Wait a minute, why are we going for it this deep in my own territory? That's insane. First off, if you're a fan talking about that, that's insane. But you know what happens? They convert it. One problem. That's one of the most blatant offensive PI calls I have ever seen, and I'm talking bad in terms of how obvious it was. There was no attempt to pretend it was a pick. There was no attempt to pretend that was anything else but Michael Petway running into a DB to get an intentional block before the ball was thrown. It was that bad. Even if you want to argue with me about having a missed PI, the next play, you had redemption and you let it go. And then you proceed to go for it on 4th and 14. That's just dumb play calling. And I don't usually call out Skip Holtz for stuff like this, but why are you stuck in your head going for it in this situation with 3 timeouts and your defense up until recently, up until PI calls, up until one perfectly placed 51-yard pass has been playing a pretty damn good game today, and you decide to piss it away by going for it on 4th and 14? That's on you. That's not on the officials. I don't get that argument, because that's basically a coaching decision. Mm-hmm. That is how bad that was. And then they go down, score a TD, and then what happens is you proceed to forget you have 3 timeouts on your next drive. You get all the way down
crazy, right?
28 seconds. 28 seconds, you call your first timeout. That is ridiculously bad for time management. It was a complete meltdown. Officiating is a massive scapegoat to try and avoid the obvious. It was a meltdown. The Stallions screwed up in all phases on the 4th quarter that day. They had a win in their hands, and they decided to blow it up by not getting a little more discipline and thinking a little bit. Mm-hmm. Emotions got in the way. I will definitely, Skip Holtz, I think, definitely got affected by emotions on Saturday, and he just got to chill out. That's the thing. I get there were no calls. That's frustrating when there's some calls that are missed. But the deal is, you still had the ball in your court, and you let it slip out of your hands. Your players did, and your decision-making did. There's no one else to blame but yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, some people might leave a comment on that, but I thought it was kind of ridiculous that someone said it was rigged. It's not. It's not rigged. That was bad play calling and decision-making to end that game.
I like when people say it's rigged. It makes me feel better. It makes me... feel better. It does, because I'm like, no, it ain't rigged. You're coping hard. What did I say last week?
I'm helping you.
Big mad. And now bigger matter. I mean, we'll see. We'll get to our picks later and what I have to say on that one. Okay. But I mean, big mad. People big mad at me. People, I got the messages I got. Threats, Zach. Threats. I received threats. Not really. Nobody's going to threaten the ref. About? Everybody loves the ref. I mean, the Panther now. Let's hunt. Panther. Let's go. Let's hunt. With my claw. Sign us up. So, I mean, big day for the gamblers. Big mad day for the Stallions fans. I mean, I still wouldn't be worried if I was a Stallions fan. Other than, I mean, there is a lot of injuries there. There is a lot of injuries going on with the team, but I mean, you have plenty of time. Everything's open wide. Everything is open wide, as we'll discuss in our midseason review. The first Sunday game, Zach, boy, oh boy, what a showcase for kickers. I mean, sign it up. Yes. What a showcase for kickers. Showcase. Generals and Stars. Stars pulled it out against the Generals. I don't think a lot of people had that one picked. I don't think either of us did. 24-21. exclusively one man alone, Luis Aguilar. Let's just one record-breaking moment here. 8 for 8 on the day. Here are the ranges: 22, 42, 56, 36, 27, 51, 49, and a 55-yard game winner. This game almost went to overtime. 338 combined field goal yards of all of his field goals, 338 yards, new all-time pro football record. My God, sign him up. Sign this dude up. And after this, after we go through the rest of week 5 here, we have Mr. Aguilar on the show with us. Zach, you caught up with them. I've not even had a chance to listen to the interview yet. So we're going to listen to it. I'll be listening with you fans. But boy, oh boy, what a game. The other note that I have about this game here, and this I would say is a little concerning for Generals fans, it just was not Darius Victor's day. I mean, every time it looked like he was going to have a redemption drive and he was carrying it, and you could tell the coach was giving it to him, say, look, go out there, fix that mistake, get the touchdown, because this is a close game, right? He even won by 3. It was almost overtime. And even right at the end of the game, Darius Victor right by the goal line, boom, drops it again. I feel bad for the dude. This was just an anomaly of a game, though. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a team win exclusively from a kicker, and I mean convincingly? Right? It doesn't happen often. I mean, I honestly thought this was one of the best days that the Stars had offensively in some time. And, they did a lot of things that I was hoping that they would adjust. Now, still a few too many instances where they left Case Cookus on an island and hoped to God that the line was going to settle things down, because New Jersey feasted at times. They got their share of sacks and pressure. But one thing that I got to give credit to the Stars, they were focusing more on getting the ball out of Cookus's hands and delivering on time and in a timely manner. They got the run game going a little bit more than usual, which was a good sign. They're one of the worst. They are the worst run team in the USFL. There's no sugarcoating that. So they needed that. But I mean, if anything, I think this really comes down a lot more besides the field goals. I think that's the bigger deal. You have a hell of a kicker in a league that has amazing kickers throughout a lot of its rosters. But I think the Generals just have to look at themselves in the mirror and go, what the hell just happened? Because, I mean, I think that you look at a lot of this momentum, the Stars defense stepped up tremendously most of this affair. Mm-hmm. Sans, of course, the final TD drive. Kyle Ouellette coming in, I think that muddies some things. I know that Johnson, you can say, is the more athletic natured QB, but now we're in the same situation as last year, where which one do you want? Do you want the more athletically gifted quarterback, or do you want the one that's more pass pro and more accurate with the throws? Because it definitely felt like Ouellette was more in command of the pass offense than Johnson. Other than that first drive
has been all season.
Other than that first drive, he jumped in because he got picked off. I mean,
he did get picked off.
I mean, that was a big blow for the Generals. Now, so from what I understand, is DeAndre Johnson was out on the sidelines because he had funny pebbles. The thing of the game, pebbles, right? Whether it's a touchdown or whatever it is, the pebbles matter. Well, one of those got in DeAndre Johnson's eyes. He has to come out. You put Lauletta in. First drive throws a pick, but like you mentioned, Zach, every subsequent drive, I mean, he looked a lot better. Now, was he able to get the job done? Was he able to get the win? No, but I mean, it's a tough job to come in mid-game.
I mean, yeah, he didn't get the job done. The pick doesn't help.
Yeah. Defensively,
they held him to a field goal. What really should be getting, I mean, if you're looking at New Jersey, what you're kicking yourself for is we could have had this in the bag if we do just a better job on a kick return. Mm-hmm. I mean, the USFL, they released a clip on the inside the drive because it was a game-winning field goal. But you look at the drive. You know what the drive was? It was a really damn good return with one run that goes for about 5 yards. They call a timeout, kick a 55-yarder, and that's the game winner. And I'm not knocking the drive for it, but like that just shows you one critical error in a day of errors.
Oh, sure.
That was endless for the Generals. The two fumbles for Victor, just brutal. And that's a damn shame, because one of those was inside the 10, going for the end zone. He gets it popped out of his hands, and just gets grabbed out, just basically gets grabbed in the end zone. That's it. It's one of those days you just don't know how to come back from it, or you have to gut it out and hope to God that you make just enough to win. And they looked like they were going to OT.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was going to OT.
Me too.
Because the fact we were already at 7 field goals. I was saying, dude, one of these is going to miss. There's no way he hits 8. We were already at 5, and I was like, okay, this is kind of getting crazy. Right. We have 3 times in a year doing this. And then he hits 6, like, oh, crap. And then he hits 7. It's like, come on, 8. And and everyone's the same way. We're like, holy my God, this man must have broken. Sure enough, confirmed he tied a professional record with Rob Baronis who was playing for the Tennessee Titans at the time. Wild day. Mm-hmm. And if anything, like I said, if you're in New Jersey, you got to kick yourself. You probably had this game in the bag with a few less mistakes. And that's it. If you're Philadelphia, you're much like Bart Andrus when he was talking in the post game. I would say pep talk, if you will. Everyone's 2-3. Season restarts right now. Mm-hmm. You have to feel so damn good that you got that win, and that your other adversaries, either you had Pittsburgh, who had to play the best teams, and you get a chance to kind of line up with them, or you get another shot at Michigan, you get another shot at New Jersey. You feel like you're confident you can take on New Jersey now. Anything's wide open. Mm-hmm. And they did that for themselves. That is a feel-good moment. New Jersey, that's another thing to kick yourselves on. They had them dead to rights if they just calmly and collectively play a disciplined game.
Yep.
And Philadelphia, cut by 1,000 knives, and it helps them develop their offense more, because I think Andrus forgot that his line was not – I think Andrus didn't realize his line was still behind, according to several other teams in the league, and he's catching on again like last year, where his play calling is going, okay, let's speed some things up, because I don't want my quarterback to die. And now we have a legitimate shot at getting a playoff berth or the division.
100%.
Even though I don't feel as confident about them, they have a legitimate shot at the division now.
I mean, everybody does, right? And I mean, death by kicker. We saw the Maulers do that earlier in the season against the Stars, funny enough. And now we see the Stars, coming out top the same way. It just shows you the value of a good kicker. I mean, it can make or break. They legit won a game because Luis Aguilar. And like I said, after this next recap, we're going to go to that interview. But before we do that, let's talk about it. Final game of the weekend, arguably one of the biggest upsets. We have the Showboats. We have the Breakers. Breakers coming into this game, the final undefeated team, leaving the game no longer undefeated, taking a loss. I mean, I think everybody's shocked. I will say I did change my pick on the Discord. I had to go in and say, look, I can feel it in my blood. Everything's coming up. Ref, it's a Showboats kind of day. Now, it was a slow burner, if you will, 17-10. I still think we saw good out of both teams, but I don't know, Zach. What are you seeing here? Showboats, are they about to be on the rise? Fluke game? Worry? I'm not. I'll tell you this. I'm not worried as a Breakers fan. You got to lose every now and then. But what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it attests to how much we've seen Todd Haley adjust and grow this Memphis Showboats roster. I mean, we're talking about some of the adjustments were already showing up in their week 3 matchup when they came from behind against Houston and just couldn't pull things out. And that was a defense that was the worst in the league at a time back in week 3. These past 2 weeks, and credit, last week you could have kind of disregarded. Oh, well, it's the Panthers. They've been trending downward anyway. But now this week you play against New Orleans, who's been the best offense in the league by every statistical measure. Even after this week, they are still in every category leading for yardage, for passing, rushing, and receiving. And yet they found a way to win. They slowed down the Breakers. And I think what was amazing about it was, Wes Hills had his opportunities, but he was still stalled out. So he had to throw, which of course you're thinking, okay, MBT, he's got all these weapons. That's great. They're going to throw. But you know what they did well? They got pressure. They made McLeod Bethel-Thompson uncomfortable every passing down they could. And he got his moments. He still got a touchdown out of the deal. They still were able to make some drives. But at the end of the day, Memphis kept themselves in, and they're in the game, bought time. They have an offense that has been getting progressively better each week. Cole Kelly is the guy, and he's also the leader that is the legitimate piece for this. I think that's what's been great. He has embraced this fully. Every time you see him on the sideline, he is jazzed to be here. He believes in this team fully. He was borderline about to cry on camera after they won that game because he loves that team that damn much. That is a legitimate good player and one that is in love with what he's doing right now and with the guys he's with. And you know what? That's a complete 180 from what Todd Haley was dealing with just 2 weeks ago with Curtis Johnson. You know, we thought he was the sourpuss coach of the year. And they've changed things around for a new leaf. You know, and again, they're only one game out of a playoff seed right now. And they played Houston to the wire, their last matchup. They didn't play Birmingham as great. This isn't the same team anymore that lost 42-2, I think. But I think that it's still, to me, if I'm being fully honest, Houston, I got to give Memphis the credit. I do partially lean on this might be a fluke game because this league's too good to have a perfect record type of team. I'm sorry. This is not the same years last year where you're going to have, you know, okay, once in a full moon, this team wins like the Maulers and they just go down and out. No, this league has so much talent spread around it now. I fully believe that this was a fluke game for now. Memphis is still legit, but I think New Orleans just was not in the zone on the day. I think next week you're going to see that come in full force. Credit, you know, Philadelphia played well. I don't think they played well back-to-back weeks against a better offense in New Orleans. So that's where I landed. And not to mention that, you know, I would say the Memphis, what am I saying? The Breakers were controlling their destiny. It came down to a really good drive from the Showboats.
Right.
Another inside the drive from this week as well. Got two of them. I got to give it to Memphis, though. You know, fantastic effort. But this was not New Orleans' best effort. It is definitely an off week for them.
For sure.
I'm labeling it a little bit more on that.
100%. I'll say this, though. What a difference 2 weeks makes. 2 weeks ago, we saw Todd Haley bickering between coach to coach. This past weekend, Zach, you know what we saw? We saw Coach Haley twerking. And thanks to the USFL social team, they got to put it out and put it on blast for everyone to enjoy. Sign them up. No, man, sign them up. You know, shake what your mama gave you. You know what they say. And they say it for a reason.
Well,
what?
That was not throwing it back. That's not on my bingo card.
You know what? Get the win. You can do whatever you want, man. You can do whatever you want.
I posted that it wasn't on my bingo card, or I put it for our account. Someone replied, burn the bingo card.
I love it. I love it. Overall, fun, interesting week of the USFL. It just shows you anything can happen in the United States Football League, or as we like to call it, the Ultra Super Fun League. Let's get signed up. Before we get into our midseason review, which is just basically what we talked about, plus some more with the whole year so far to date, Zach, how about you tell the guys who you met up with, and let's go into the interview of the week, baby.
Yeah, interview of the week. We're getting a little more common with these, and you already hinted at it a little bit. It's the record holder himself now, Luis Aguilar. We had a fantastic conversation about really a lot of principles of, I guess, the kicking game, just his experience on the day, and also the fact that he was dealing with a new holder. He's been rotating a lot of holders that this season, and Devin Gray gets a lot of credit for this effort. You will learn in this interview. Take a listen right now. Welcoming everyone into the latest edition of the USFL Podcast Player Interview Series, bringing you the latest, not only from players, but of course from personalities and also folks from around the United States Football League. Today we do have an interview, of course, with a player, one that I would say is, made his mark on football history as of this past week. I would say was, you could put as the leading reason that the Philadelphia Stars are 2-3. He'll say otherwise, but I'll put it out there that, when you put up 24 points on your own, you kind of got to get that recognition. He is place kicker for the Philadelphia Stars, Luis Aguilar himself, joining on the show. Luis, welcome to the program. Congrats on your historic weekend. Seriously, eight field goals. That is, like I said, we had to start checking the history books once we got past like 6, because I got curious. I got curious through the third quarter. I'm like, what pace are we on right now?
That's hilarious. Yeah, it was funny because I remember week 1, I was one of the kickers from New Orleans. The New Orleans kicker went 5 for 5 and set the tone already for week 1. He went 5 for 5 and had the USFL record, I believe. And I was like, holy cow! Like that's huge. and then we kind of started off slow and wasn't getting many attempts, and then I was kind of like, it was so weird because leading up to this week, I was kind of like manifesting it, like, what if we just end up getting a ton of field goals? It's just so weird. So,
The universe is a mysterious
yeah.
place. That is ironic, though. I'll be honest with you. It's funny you mentioned Matt Coughlin. Yours is the third time this year that the kicking record in the league, in terms of the 80s overall record for the USFL since its iteration has existed, has been either tied or broken. Chris Blewett over in Pittsburgh also tied Matt Coughlin's record, who also tied Scott Norwood's record from 1983. And now you have the 8. I actually did read up, and I know you were asked this by Fox News, but I do want to ask as well. During the game, did any of this kind of come into your head? Like, I mean, you got to get some point realize, okay, I'm kicking a lot of field goals here. Maybe I'm just in the zone right now.
Yeah. So I had known, like, I had known about like the 8 field goals in a game being like the record, and like I've known about it like years kicking, just you just know fun facts, right?
Yeah.
And about it, but in the game, it's so different in the game because like adrenaline's going, and as a kicker, you kind of want to be a robot and be just a system kicker. Just take it one kick at a time, trust your snap, hold, kick, and just let it go. So you're not really thinking about the kick before, and you're not thinking about the kick after. You're thinking about the kick that's about to happen. And so after every kick, it's kind of like trying to just worry about the next kick. So like whatever happened previously was like it's not in my head,
Right.
And that's kind of like the way I approached that whole game and the way I've been trying to approach the whole season so far. And I do that in practice. I've been doing it for years, where I kind of just tell myself one for one after every kick.
Yeah, always go to the next one. And consistency, obviously, this is a very cutthroat position in any level of football. So I mean, having accuracy and having the ability to be able to say, I'm an automatic 3 points every time I step on the field. That's massive for yourself, and I imagine for your prospects if you are looking beyond the league here too. Not saying that's far ahead. You got the season ahead, of course, but we all think about it. We all hope for the best of players as they move up. But that's great for film for yourself. Just saying, well, I'm that guy that kicked 8 field goals in a game. I've been pretty consistent here. It's a cutthroat biz, but I do have that mark towards me.
Yeah, correct. I mean, being here in this, the USFL platform that we have, to continue to, do what we love is huge. I told myself though, coming in to this season, is I want to be more present and kind of just enjoy it more, because I know last year I didn't enjoy it as much because I was so stressed and like so too like I guess I'd say I was like pressuring myself a little too much about what I got to do.
Sure.
And I had a good year, but coming into this year, I told myself I want to enjoy it more, but still get my work done. Not think too ahead. And so being here, it's been awesome. Great group of guys, great snapper. Rotated through 5 holders already.
I was going to ask. I saw someone brought that up, that Devin Gray did it this week, and you're talking about a lot of new placeholders. I mean, just go through this for people. I mean, that's not. I haven't done it in my own capacity on the football field before, but that does take something. You do have to be pretty precise, and you got to get down the speed and kind of at least getting what you need as a kicker to accurately hit the ball. No one wants the laces hitting your foot. That's like the worst nightmare for you, is to have that possible chance of it bouncing or ricocheting the wrong way off a lace.
Yeah. So I have a really great long snapper, so he makes the holder's job easy, right? But my mindset is kind of like I'll do my job. Like I'll just focus on my job. I like the last thing I need to do is just like the hole's gonna be there. I just need to do my job, right? You just kind of trust my guy, because at the end of the day, when you kind of start like worrying about like how is he gonna hold it,
Right.
no, it's kind of like you start worrying about things you can't control, and you want to. It should be the opposite. You should just kind of focus on things you can control, which is the way I'm gonna approach that kick. Where my plan is gonna be. So the past 5 weeks, I've been kind of telling myself I'm gonna attack every kick and just whatever I get, I'm gonna just push through. Just just power it through. Coach is doing a good job in practice, getting us reps, making sure that I don't go in there without any reps with the guy who's holding for the week. And Devin stepped up big time because it was the first time he held in a game too. And I think we got 2 practices in with him, and he caught on really quick. And like I said, I mean, like I have a really good long snapper. And then the guys up front blocking just worked their tails off.
Oh yeah.
Every team's been bringing pressure. So
Yeah,
this is a team effort. This is a whole team effort. So
right. I mean, you're not joking about the long snap position. That's something I can relate to that's a position I did, for when I played football many a moon ago, in high school. But you're mentioning Ryan Navarro as kind of the guy getting credited here. And, hey, it does take that piece is important, because we're talking about, you want the correct spin, easy to catch, and you want it to be able to not have any chance of dragging or going over the guy's head. If you have any, and I'm speaking from my own experience, any inconsistency, that is a mechanical process, almost like a manufacturing assembly plant line is how you want it.
And like if from like the starting point, if it's not going smooth, it's kind of like you're gonna have like a bottleneck in the middle, or like, so Ryan makes it easy for the holder. He's a true pro. He works at his craft every day, and he's awesome to be around with, and I live with him, so it's cool that
that's some chemistry.
Yeah.
Although I will say, probably stuff that probably missed snaps or things that leaves the field. Maybe doesn't always leave the field. Like, hey, we got to go back home. I know what happened to practice now. We'll talk about this later. For yourself, the league actually just dropped one of their inside the drive segments. Of course, you kick the game-winning field goal. Have you watched any of that? Because I mean, I'll be honest with you, a lot of good audio. It's funny, Coach Andrus, when he's mentioning your kick, at this point you've kicked 7, but the way he talks about it, he just mentions it as, quote, kick a PAT, Louis.
I actually heard him say that in the game. I heard him say that because they called timeout. So yeah, I was lining up. They called timeout, and then I run back to the sideline while the field goal team's on the field. Just because I reset all the time. Mm-hmm. So I have to reset, go to the sideline, take my sip of water. I'm going back, and he goes, "Kick it like a PAT." And in my head, I'm like, "Yes, sir." I didn't actually respond, but it's just in my head. I was just like, "Yes, sir."
Oh, sure.
Which is funny that he said that, because I actually think like that. I try to think like a 50-yarder, whatever it is, like kick it like a PAT, because usually all my PATs are, like it's all mental, but my PAT kicks, I feel like I hit them really good. And if I could just have that same mentality when kicking a 50-yarder, usually you want to have the same kick, exact same technique, same ball flight, whether it's 50 or a PAT. So it's funny you said that, because I already tried to implement that in my routine.
Automatic. I just like the extra context of it, because I was wondering too, when the video was posted, like I said, you kind of just see if people are catching on, if it's just business as usual, which, I mean, to some people, maybe you think that's the case, but when you're on the field, it is, as you say, business as usual, just another another snap, another repetition. You nail it, you celebrate, and then as we heard in the locker room, of course, go to overtime, and maybe things are a bit different there that you get to decide it on your own terms, obviously.
Yeah. I don't even know overtime rules. Is it like college where like
Do you not know the USFL overtime rules?
I don't.
Really? Oh wow. Okay. I'll didn't expect this on my card today. So basically it'd be a shootout. I think hockey. Each one exchanges an offensive possession and all that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so there's no kicking.
I mean, I don't believe so. Yeah, it's offensive possession. So you would have basically seen Case and company having to see who plays better, him or Kyle Laletta / DeAndre Johnson at that point.
Good to know.
I did not expect that. That's fun. That is hilarious. But there you go. Now you didn't have to. You learned in a different way. You get to celebrate, and you can talk about it after the fact because that's the thing. But it's still, I find that hilarious nonetheless. Oh man, that's good. That's real good. Luis, I gotta ask you here. Have you heard of the term "death by 1,000 cuts" with this type of stuff? Because that's how I was going to lead in this show, and I didn't do that. But it's usually how a game goes if a kicker wins the game for you, in terms of all that the scores are just kicks.
Yeah, that was a pretty surreal moment. It still really hasn't hit me.
24 points. Wild.
Yeah, it's absurd. I was talking to Ryan, my long snapper, today. I was like 8 for 8. Like, is that really is that a lot? I genuinely, because in the game it didn't feel like that. It was that many.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy how, you think about it. It's basically 2 field goals a quarter.
Yeah, pretty much. It's got 2 possessions apiece, and is all it is. And but again, you don't see that happen often enough. Or usually you at least get a touchdown snuck in there. That's what I was expecting for a bit.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what happens. For yourself too, I guess I'll ask this while I add. I know I led you as a place kicker, but you did mention this to me pre-show that some of the kicking situation for Philadelphia is changing this week. But I mean, as I've been seeing, you've been doing punts and a bunch of extra work on the side too. Multifaceted weapon, not just a place kicker as of late.
Yeah. So they brought me in with mostly hey, you're gonna be the kicker. We need we want you to score points. And then they wanted to save the roster spot. And so they were gonna have me punt because I used to punt in college and I have a background punting, and I think I could do it pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I was really comfortable doing was the Aussies. That's what I love.
You like running kind of like the bootleg punts?
Yeah,
on the side
at the 50, and that's what I'm really comfortable doing. But yeah, no, we just signed Liam. I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but he's been around the CFL and the NFL. Really talented veteran kicker that just had his first practice today, and he's going to be handling punting and kickoffs. So the goal for that was to lighten my load, for longevity reasons. So I was cramping in the fourth quarter, end of the third quarter.
Where are you now?
Story, which was usually it's not really common for both my quads to get sore, but I was getting a lot of reps in between kicks, against the net, trying to stay ready for punts or field goals, and it was just one of those games where both my quads happened to get really sore and started cramping up.
Well, geez, I mean, I didn't even think about that, but I mean, yeah, you're talking about 8 field goals plus again, you got to do punt duty. So,
And then kickoffs. I think we
and
had
then kickoffs.
9 kickoffs. I think I kicked 20 times in the game. That doesn't include like the warm up.
It almost sounds like the equivalent of a pitcher throwing like well past 100 pitches for his inning count.
Yeah, someone described it to me like that too. You're not the first time to say that analogy.
Because that's how I'm thinking about it. Like if you're doing all 3 positions like that, eventually some muscle in your leg's going to give out. I would think like same goes for I think like a QB. Like say if Case was throwing like 50 passes a game, I'd be sitting here on the couch going, "How's that man still his shoulder? How's his shoulder all right?"
Gotta ice the shoulder right after.
Something giving that your head coach loves throwing the football on a normal basis.
Yeah, seriously. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I iced my legs. Sauna, hot tub, more ice, just flushing out all the soreness. And I mean, I'm feeling better now, but I think tomorrow I'll be better, like way more fresh.
Well, before I let you go, Luis, and again, awesome job. Again, can't say enough. A lot of us, not just in the USFL, but like I think the football community as a whole has been celebrating just seeing that your effort you put out there. Obviously, I want to get your take on this because I think Coach Andrews said it best, not only just for the Stars, but as the league as a whole, and especially the North Division. In the post game, I would say pep talk he gave is that everyone's 2-3. Whole second season, we're basically 0-0 ahead. Yep. How you guys? How's it feel? How's the team looking like they're approaching this so far?
0-0. Everyone's 0-0. It's kind of like it's like a fresh start, like in a good way. It allows us to like kind of like since we're in the second half of the season, it's like blank slate. Okay, everyone's even in our division. Let's just go 1-0 every single week, and we hold our own destiny. We've got a tough matchup this weekend, and that's the only team we're worried about as of this moment. So
tough kicking battle this weekend too, from what we implied as well.
My boy Matt, yeah,
you and Matt going at it.
Great kicker. They also have a great long snapper and punter. I know they're specialists, so it'll be fun to see them in person and catch up after the game. But they're a great group of guys. So,
well, Luis, I'm wishing you and the Stars the best, of course, moving forward. Again, congrats on the accomplishment. That is definitely nothing to slouch at. That's remarkable to be a piece of football history right there. Best of luck this rest of the season, and getting to focus in a little bit more on your kicking skills.
Thank you, Zach.
Hey, thanks again to Luis Aguilar, place kicker for the Philadelphia Stars, for joining me this week. I think you can tell he still is a little baffled by just the whole experience. I thought the interesting part when we were talking, and I brought this up, but the fact that we were talking about, it almost was feeling like a pitch count for his leg, because he's talking his quads are sore from having all the kicks, and he was still at this time. Now, credit, the Stars did just sign on a new punt, as you learned in this episode. They signed a new punter and place kicker for kickoffs. So his focus now is only on field goals. He's not doing the punts anymore. He's not doing the kick returns or the kickoffs and kick returns. So he can rest his leg a little bit. But you have to remember, while he's kicking these 8 field goals, he's still kicking punts. He's still kicking off after those kicks. So your leg is getting worn down. It takes a lot of effort to do that much kicking on a regular basis like that when you are the offense. So getting him some little rest and I guess some help with that, so that they can focus on him just doing his best job he can on what he is perfecting right now. Really smart move, I think, on the Stars' part, especially since they were originally using it to save a roster spot. Now they're deciding it's worth the value. And I think that game helped it. When you score 24 points and you win the game for your offense, pretty sure you show the coaching staff, okay, we can go out and get a punter.
For sure. 100%. 100%. Either way, love to hear from these guys. Every time we have one of these new interviews, I love to listen to them myself. I know It's hard to believe, but I do like to watch these shows. Well, I mean, I edit them, so I'm forced to in that regard. But it's a good problem to have. But boy, oh boy, Zach, isn't it crazy? Halfway through the USFL season, halfway through season 2 of the USFL, and anything can happen. That's what we know. Anything can happen. We talked about it earlier. The North, everybody's at 2-3. Anybody's game. The South, basically equally open. Yes, the Breakers, they look like they could run away with it, but they got put in their place a little bit by the Showboats, evened it up as much as it can. But the South is equally as open as the North, I'd say. We don't have any undefeated teams, which I think the Stallions were still undefeated at the halfway point last season.
Yeah, they were well into the second half of the season before they lost to Houston in Birmingham, which that's funny. It's I know that they played both games in Birmingham last year, but it's like now 2 years in a row they have it where Houston's owning their own home stadium. I mean, and they have to go play in Memphis for this next one. You can't retry it in front of a home crowd.
That's right. All in, baby. I mean, no surprise. Everybody should have known. I warned you all. The Gamblers were going to be a team to watch for. I think the key was a couple things. One, reverse Uno last year. You don't want to win that first game. Let the Panthers have one. And you know what? Build up the Panthers' self-esteem. Now, I had to come in and fix the problem for the Panthers fan. Now, I'm the number one Panthers fan to turn the ship around for you guys. So thank me at the end of the year, Zach, when the Panthers are in the championship, thanks to my fandom and my fandom alone. Now, the Gamblers, I mean, all in, baby. All in. Now,
yeah, all in for you.
One thing that I'll say here that we'll go into a little bit further, home team advantage. Not so important this year, it seems. I mean, the Stallions, they started out fine, but when we look at the Panthers, poof, man, ever since they hit Ford Field, no bueno.
No bueno.
The Stars, they pulled one out at home, so I think, they're doing all right. The Maulers, funny enough, it might as well be the Mauler Dome. I think they have the most wins at Ford Field as the Maulers right now.
The Panthers I didn't have the Panthers not being winless at this point in Detroit. That's what kills me, is that Philadelphia got their first win as a freaking hosted team compared to the one that actually is having a home field advantage every week.
Mm-hmm. That's just Detroit for you, man. Detroit sports. I should have warned everybody a little bit more. The curse is real. And people have tried to reverse curse me, Zach. People have tried. They said, oh, ref, we're going to reverse curse you. No. There ain't no reverse cursing Ford Field. Now, I'm going to save it though, because I am the number one Panthers fan. So we'll talk about that in the preview and picks. I have a couple thoughts on that Panthers Stallions game, but overall, home team advantage not as important this year. Interesting. Now, I don't know why that is. I don't know. I think once we get teams more acclimated to these hubs, that will change. As the fans get an identity, that will change, right? Because you'll have these weekly folks coming out to the games that these players, I mean, I'll tell you this, I know, and I've spoken to a lot of players, one thing that they all do, and if they say they don't, they're lying, is they pan the crowd. They pan that crowd every time they're out in one of those games. Maybe not during the game, but before, after, some points during it. And they're seeing those people. They're seeing the people that are showing up week in, week out. And Zach, you've been to many of sports games where there's that guy. I've seen him at the Lions game. There's the guy that wears the full blue with the Lions mane. There's the guy that had the 0-16 grocery bag on his head, right?
But
the more you get of those types of fans, I think that's where your home team advantage comes into place. So season 3, season 4, just being at home, I mean, does it really matter when you're traveling, you're a building team, you're a building league? I mean, for the Stallions, I think last year kind of proves to my point is those fans had such an identity in season 1. They were the hub, and they were showed up big, right?
I mean, they were the league. That's all they had, and I think that's what you're seeing now is, there is a little bit more you get to kind of spread your wings on. I even with them losing, I still have been impressed with Detroit fans coming out and supporting, because really, I mean, here's the deal. It's a city that watches, and you know this, it's watched mediocre football for decades. It could easily bow out and just say, well, forget about it. But yeah, crowds are still coming out to this team and watching them play. And I got to give them some credit for that, because they don't have to, but it's fun family entertainment in the late spring right now, going into the summer. They still have another game after this upcoming one with the Stallions, and it's been a fun time. And Big E has been great as an MC out there. It's been a fun atmosphere with him too. The league has done a great job with that setup. It's just now you got to have the Panthers start winning games in Detroit. That's the thing. And what kills me is that, we started so hot, and we're celebrating the 83 championship at the home opener, and I'm like, yes, so good. We're a good team. And it's not been the same since.
Well, I got good news, Zachy boy, because I'm here to save the Panthers season. I'm going to be at that final game, and that is only good news for you. When I'm in Ford Field, only good things happen. And I'm going to make sure.
My God, you were in Ford Field week 1, the first home game.
Anyway, only good things happen to the Panthers from here on out. Playoff predictions, I'll even start here. I'm going to make a bold prediction for the North. Panthers, Maulers. What do you think, Zach? Panthers, Maulers in the North for the playoffs.
Things have to change, and it would have to start this week. And you'd have to, I think, do something drastic to get things going on the passing game front. That's the main thing for Michigan. Again, it's so easy to cue in on the run game because it's really the only thing that they can lean on right now. And even then, it's not enough. Like this isn't like a New Jersey Generals line that can bully you and get run game only type of games and just plow it down the field. There's no quarterback like a DeAndre Johnson that can just bail out of the pocket for right now for Michigan. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be on the table going into this week against Birmingham, because it is 0-0 right now. They are lucky to have been in this spot, because I think New Jersey, luckily New Jersey has had either a part of tough schedule, and they slipped up last week, because now everyone's on the table. So you have to be drastic, which is why I'm saying, like, even if they go ahead and kick things off with Josh Love to kick things off for this week, which, to confirm this, we did have the depth charts drop as we're recording this. And from the looks of it, yes, Josh Love's starting. Mm-hmm. But Eric Berrier is up as the second option. I know they've been rotating QBs every week so far since this home stretch. Do not have a long leash. Love gets pulled if it looks ugly. You put Eric in if things are getting dicey, because people remember how Eric played last year. I think that's why people want him in. Mm-hmm. They know he's a decent QB.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he got kind of buried on this roster. And why not? Mm-hmm. You have what do you got to lose? Well, exactly. Josh hasn't been performing. Well, you might as well throw him in.
100%. 100%. I mean, I think that's the silver lining here. Like you mentioned, they also have LeWerk in there as well. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that have been asking, where is Berrier? Where is Berrier? Well, this might be the week that we get to see him as we head into the second half of the season. I mean, it's still crazy to me. So, okay, so I said Panthers, Maulers. If you had to pick on the North, who do you think we're seeing from the North as it stands now?
I think it's funny you say this, because of just how it shows how much things have changed in 1 year. Because the Maulers are the most certain team right now in the North to me, that I think will either end up winning the North or they will be a playoff team. At the very least, mm-hmm. They are the one lock I have as a playoff team in the North. Mm-hmm. That is so weird, but everything that I was talking about the week prior is doing what I expected. Troy Williams, he's trending up. That offense has been getting better every week since they picked the right quarterback for the job. They have a decent run game. What's really amazing is that Bailey Gaither and Troy Williams are getting a rapport to where they have a dynamic 1-2 punch mm-hmm. with those two. Williams also has the wheels. He can run out of the pocket. They still have some issues at times with securing the pocket, but you know what's good? He can run away from those situations where James Morgan couldn't. And then the defense, I don't even have to say anything. You know, everyone who's watched the league knows the Maulers defense is right now playing the best in the league. New Jersey, I think, makes a good case too, but I'll say, like how Webb is over with USFL Network, statistically, they're dominating. Last week, they did whatever they pleased against Michigan, and they've done this to where there's a few of those games against top-ranked teams in the league to where if you had your QB situation figured out to begin with, you could argue they could be almost in the same spot New Orleans is in right now, where they're 4-1. Mm-hmm. That's how much they've been building up to so far. They're my lock. The other one, in terms of confidence, I'll say New Jersey, but you got to clean up your act. And now I have questions because Mike Riley loves playing around with his quarterbacks. He never. It's like a shiny new object shows up and he turns his head and he goes, oh, yeah. And so now that Kyle's gotten in, yeah, DeAndre Johnson still is your most athletic guy, but now he's seen Kyle. Mm-hmm. And he said in the post-game press conference, I wanted to play Kyle at some point, which him saying, I'm like, what do you mean you wanted to play Kyle at some point? You have DeAndre.
Right.
That's how he is. He likes the multiple QBs. And so now I don't know, because even though the proof is in the pudding that 2 QB system for him was not effective as much in the early going, he might go back to it.
Right.
And I don't agree with it at all.
You know what,
he
though?
Might do it.
If they get wins, you can't be mad at it. I'll say that. Like if they go with the 2 QB system, to your credit, it only got them so far last season. They did get to the postseason, but they didn't get to the championship. Now I'll let you go first on the South since I went first on the North. What does the playoff picture for you look like in the South? I think everybody knows my thoughts, so we'll start with you.
My lock is New Orleans. I think that, again, I thought it was an off week for them against Memphis. Although, got to give kudos again. Memphis, they came out, they smacked them in the mouth, and they kept doing it. And they ended up getting one good drive at the end and one good defensive possession. The rest was history, and they held on. So kudos to Todd Haley and company. They're still going to be a pest for the rest of the season. You can't count them out. For the rest of the league, though, besides New Orleans, it's hard for me to tell. I think I still have to give Houston the edge because of the fact that they're dealing with less injury. Kenji Bahar will come back. It's not as severe. He looked like he was ready to go. They just were playing it safe last week. Terry Wilson's a solid backup that has wheels and does have good passing capability when he was allowed. By the way, something I didn't point out in this game, and this is, again, another example of why I dislike 2 QB systems. This game, I think, might not even be as close as it was in the second half if you didn't play Montel Cozart for at least 3 drives. He's not the right guy. They decided to score a touchdown with Terry Wilson and then bench him after a stalled drive. What was that? That's what killed me. And it could have come down to they wanted to see how they were on film. But, dude, just pick one. Mm-hmm. Like, he was already playing hot. Why'd you waste time in the first half?
You got to keep the game suspenseful, Zach.
Keep the game.
You got to make it, if we were just the gamblers, we'd run it up on everybody 99-0 every week. But we got to give the other teams a chance.
Al Wilson said it best. You play to win the game. That's not a move that plays to win the game. That's a move that plays because, I had a game plan and I was too stubborn to change it, is how I looked at it. But I digress. They have a roster that is very much been proving itself more than it did in the preseason. I mean, again, even with the trash talk we were talking, I was worried about Houston coming into the season. And I got to give props. That offense has been getting better every week. Kenji Bahar has been settling down. He's gotten into a rhythm with receivers. And Justin Hall, Anthony Ratliff-Williams has taken a step this year. Justin Hall has been a great pickup as a free agent pickup, as a bruiser, as a small guy that can hit as a receiver. He's hungry. Mm-hmm. I love the hunger. And the key piece that really fired it all away, Mark Thompson being gone for 2 weeks, coming back, it's been a complete game changer. The guy has stepped in, and they are now a completely multifaceted offensive attack to where Mark can either bruise you or he can bounce it outside and outrun you on the outside. He is basically a Leonard Fournette of the USFL right now. Mm. And the body type, the speed, I'm telling you, that's how I best compare him. And I think that the health and the weapons right now, along with the fact that every week that defense has been finding its rhythm too, getting pressures, being good in coverage, that has been vital. I have to give them that right now. Now, if Birmingham can get healthier, and if they can figure out who is their number one rusher on that side, then maybe they stand a shot. You cannot have Alex Magoo being all your offense every week because eventually it slips up, and eventually you have no answer. I mean, Magoo is a magician right now. He's definitely – I mean, you can make a case that, he has been – as impressive as MBT, if not better, because he's been doing these magical plays with his feet, either running, throwing. He leads in touchdowns for a reason right now. He has been one of the top QBs in the USFL this season, but he's got to have help. You got to give him some sort of help. And that's the thing. Skip Holtz loves that ground and pound run game, but Bobby Howley getting knocked out week 1, Bo Scarborough getting knocked out week 1, both on IR. They've had no answer for how to fix this. And sure, Magoo is getting better as a passer every week, and they're finding options, but injuries have piled up too, and it just doesn't help. Scooby Wright's out probably for IR now, which sucks.
Oh, yeah.
He had a great game the week prior, and he gets knocked out on IR. You do get JoJo Tillery back this week. That helps. But you just wonder, like, is this going to be the cycle we have all years? Guys that are banged up early on, do they have enough to keep up and then steal at least the game against Houston and then keep ahead of Houston or even ahead of New Orleans? I can't even count out Houston for fighting for the top spot because they're only one game out, and you never know.
Oh, I know.
But I'm
I'll tell
saying
you what's gonna
Birmingham,
happen.
there's so many injury question marks right now. It's hurt so much of what they did well last year. They love to run it through the run game. They can't even do T formation right now. They fake T formation. That's the best they can do. They haven't been doing a realistic like T formation since they tried week 1.
Right.
That was it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, Zach. I tend to agree with you on your picture of the South. I'm going to say we got the Breakers. I'm going to say we have the can't even talk here because I'm so excited. The Gamblers going all in. Now, when I look at that championship, I think I might have alluded to this already, Zach. I said it before the season, and I'll say it in the middle of the season, and then you can all sit back at the end of the season and say, how did the ref or the Panther, we'll see, know that this was going to happen? But I'm saying it right now, right here. Gamblers, Panthers, championship, grudge came too. And I don't even know, Zach, we're going to have to grudge against each other unless you're going to switch and be a Gamblers fan, because I am, if you don't know, the #1 Panthers fan. But here we are, Zach. Gamblers, Panthers in the championship. Do you think it could be a reality? Are you even entertaining the idea, or are you really fully soaked in what it feels like to be a Detroit sports fan?
The more you do this, the more I debate if maybe I should have just not let you pay for that barbecue back in Memphis, Tennessee. Because if I had a glimpse into the future and this is what I was going to be getting, maybe I should have said, you know what? I'll take the bill. And then we walk out and it's a completely different social media posting because this is not what I was expecting. And I have a post that is aged like freaking rotting milk with me going, we've arrived. We're here. No, we definitely did not get here. We have let the cat out. We have dropped the bag. We have fumbled the bag hard.
I'm here to save it.
We threw it in a dumpster.
I'm here to save it. #1 Panthers fan.
We threw it in the dumpster in front of where we took the picture.
That's why I picked that dumpster. I love that picture so much, Zach. I'm so glad. I mean, anybody else, any other podcast, TV show, radio show, anybody else in any other situation would have taken the picture in front of the restaurant, in front of Ford Field, anywhere except for where we took it, which was in front of a dumpster. And I don't know, man, Zach, I grew up in Detroit. It felt right to me when I looked, and the first thing I said, well, there it is. That is our photo opportunity. I might get that one framed like I have the one of you and I from the championship game. That one might go to it real small because it cracks me up so damn much. I love that picture. Damn dumpster picture. But anyway, Panthers Gambler Championship, the ref / the Panther is calling it now. Now, when we look at like MVP awards, I mean, on the offense, I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, their record really says it all. 4-1. Yeah, they lost one, but they are just like running shop when it comes to the offense. We have the Breakers. I mean, naturally. MBTVP ? See, I got it out. I didn't think I would, Zach. MBTVP. See, I'm getting good at it. Sign me up.
Me trying to figure out the acronym. Oh, yeah, you mean MVP, right? No, yeah. I think right now he does make the best case for it, given that, you know, his passing yards he's on pace for. He's not leading in touchdowns, but seriously, he has you can argue one of the top 2 best running backs in the league at this time in the moment. So I think, he's been a commanding force for the Breakers so far. I got to give it to him. I think you can say another argument is his teammate Wes Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to him, who has been, if we're talking about touchdowns, yeah, you can say he's snubbing touchdowns, but he still has 8 TDs. You know, you can say Mark Thompson is making a push with his 3 weeks of work because he's scored now 8 touchdowns as well as Wes Hills. So he's definitely made an impact. Those are my 3 leaders, at least for an MVP vote. I mean, I think you can do other individual awards. Like, to me, the one bright spot out of the Panthers right now, besides maybe sometimes when they get a good run or two, Breland Speaks to me is the defensive player of the year right now. At least I think he's the current front runner. I've seen people talk about Chris Orr. I think that's a good option. I think you can talk about other options on the Maulers if you wanted. Honestly, Reuben Foster's probably in that candidacy if he gets back to where he was before he got knocked out with injury, because he was on a tear early on in the year. So I got Speaks. He has 6.5 sacks right now. He's been causing havoc every week, on pace for 13, which would beat Chris Odom's pace last year at this time. And he's really been, I mean, last week he was one of the reasons why they stayed in the game against Pittsburgh. So I got him. But I mean, the 2 other options for MVP, you can argue, are also offensive candidates as well. If one doesn't win, the other should. You would think, arguably, or Mark Thompson, you could say. Alex Magoo, I think, should be in that candidacy right now. But I think it really depends on how much Birmingham recovers. I mean, I think you can definitely say MVP of the offensive side, because he is the offense right now.
Oh, sure. 100%.
He is hauling them on their back to keep this team at 3-2.
Let me ask you this. Special teams. I mean, does Luis Aguilar win Special Teams Player of the Year based on last week's performance alone? I think maybe, unless somebody gets 9 field goals this year. I mean,
how do you argue? I mean, how can you get it to where you one up someone like that is what I am very much curious about, because having a record of that magnitude is nuts.
Oh,
and credit, you know, here's the thing that's funny is that, you know, there are 2 kickers in the league that I think are looking at this and going, well, wait a minute now. I'm 10 for 10. I haven't missed a field goal all year, and that's Matt Coughlin and Chris Blewett.
Right.
But Aguilar, yeah, he's missed 2 kicks, but he has that record 8 and has won a game by himself. You know, I think Coughlin makes an argument too, because he was the driving force for that win against the Maulers in week 1. But I think the special teams honor, Jesus, that's kind of up in the air. I think your 3 candidates are Coughlin, Blewett, and Aguilar. Aguilar gets the front run for the record by itself right now.
Right.
But you can't ignore the other 2 because they haven't missed a damn kick all year.
No. And
that's the thing.
And we've been seeing people fight about this in the Discord, which, if you're not in the Discord, click the link down below. It's a blast. Come hang out with us. We're always partying in there. But boy, oh boy, there was some heated arguments about the kickers this weekend. But let's real quick. So we talked about the players, coaches. I mean, there's the one that stands out to me. And again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the offense. And that's Coach Flip flipping the script. I think there was a lot of worried Breakers fans in the offseason when Fedora tipped his hat on the way out. But then Coach Flip came in, little bit of a different identity, molded the team the way he wanted to mold it. I mean, he stacked it up like we just talked about with the offense between MBT, Wes Hills, and other supporting cast over there. And I mean, other than this last week, which everybody has their games, everybody has their off weeks, and it just seemed like that with the Breakers. They've been looking pretty damn good. I know I probably stole the thunder on that, Zach, but any other arguments for any other? I mean, my second, I'll tell you this, all in, Curtis Johnson, for turning things around down there too with the Gamblers, because I think that does come into the mix. Now, this argument, it'll be interesting. We'll have to see what the end of the year looks like. If the Breakers only go out with 1 loss, and that was their only loss of the year, I mean, it's hard for me to not give it to Coach Flip. You're coming in as a first-year coach with coaches, like, think of it, like Skip Holtz had the advantage. Second-year coach, kept the majority of his team, won a championship last year, and then you have a guy come in like Flip, flipping the script in the South. I mean, I think it gives you the edge up, even if the Stallions only take 2 losses on the year.
Tough call, because I would definitely say that Flip has an argument, but I'm looking at how much, when I say coach of the year, I'm looking at a few categories. Either you're a coach that you found a way from the year prior to basically double up your performance or exceed expectations year over year in your program, or you come in and you change the game entirely and you change the favors of your team immensely and performance is better across the board. I think flip, you can have a case. Thing is, New Orleans brought a lot of talented pieces back. But offensively, though, you can't ignore that, he's done an amazing job on that side of the ball on bringing in his own concepts. So he's definitely in the conversation. However, I think Curtis Johnson definitely right now is the leading candidate. However, I don't think he's the one that wins it if my certain situation goes this way. Because if the Maulers win the division, Ray Horton wins that title. And you can't come to me and say, well, and sure, yeah, I mean, Houston had blown leads last year. Kevin Sumlin did get 3 wins. But, I mean, Pittsburgh was
the worst.
They were borderline a laughingstock by people last year. And like, if you come in with Ray and Jaron come in, and Ray comes in and helps them get an offense that they brought basically most of their both their coordinators back. He comes in and helps stabilize things. They bring in a bunch of talent. Lonnie Young should win Executive of the Year if they do win the division. And they come in and they finish it off. Offense gets better every week. They've looked respectable through half a season like this. They are to me right now, I think they are the most in the driver's seat for the North right now because of the roster they have. That to me is the coach of the year. If they win the division in the North, he gets coach of the year nods, in my opinion. And that's because, I mean, I can't predict the playoffs, and those awards get given out before the playoffs. Obviously, Mike Riley won last year, and we saw what happened in the semifinals. But right now, he's my candidate.
Yeah.
Curtis Johnston and him, it's neck and neck. I think if one of them wins the division, it's game over. You give the one that won the division. If both win, then it comes down to semantics. It honestly really will come down to which one do you feel did just that much better. But if Horton comes out on top and you see him being the team that hosts or is the 1 seed going in, I have no choice. It has to be them. They were the only 1-win team last year.
You make a convincing argument, man. If you can take a team from going worst to first, or at least first in the division, even if they have a worse record than the South, but the best team in the North, then yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, that goes to what I was saying earlier. It's not just about this season, right? You have that last season to account for, and whether you're coming back or you're a new coach and you turn that team around, I think that should account into this as well. We'll have to see. We're halfway through the season, though.
We are.
I can't believe it. So you know what? I think let's shift our gears here. Actually, well, before I do that, any other thoughts on the midway point before we shift gears here?
Any other thoughts I got on the midway point of the year? I guess reiterating, it's parity wins. Parity's amazing so far, and it's weird considering that we had an insane amount of 1-score games this year. We don't have as many of those, but yet it feels like it still is any given Sunday, and that we have better teams across the board in 2023 than we did last year. Again, there's no even with Memphis looked like they were going to be like the Maulers of this season. They've gotten off the mat. They look respectable. All these teams, you can argue, even with Michigan, even with me getting dissing Michigan right now on how they've looked, you still can argue that floor is higher than the floor last year for the worst team in the league or the worst performances in the league. Because Michigan was even worse last year, in my opinion, than this year's roster, which is weird me saying that, but it is. And so to me, the professional level of play has been better across the board. This is a better looking league than last year. We're halfway through the season, and our Discord communities on Twitter and Facebook, they have no idea how the hell this is going to end right now. That's awesome.
I know.
That's what league officials want. They're like, oh my God, this is gorgeous TV. We can market the hell out of that. It's everyone's game right now.
100%. And it could stay this way until the very end of the season. Wouldn't it be amazing if week 10 we're watching for maybe not one playoff spot but for a couple? Right now, that's must-see TV, baby.
And we got robbed of that last year because of the fact that you had that big split between the top and the bottom. This year, because you have it so crunched, and with the North being the North, I agree. I think the last week of the season, you're going to see that like biting fingernails type of moment as a fan, where you're like, "Oh, I hope this goes my way," type of game.
Yep, 100%. And the good news is I'm going to be in Detroit for that final game of the season. So when the Panthers inevitably need that final win of the season, I'm going to be there. Good luck and all in Ford Field. #1 Panthers fan. So I think that's a good opportunity for us to shift gears to the question of the week, baby. Let's kick that intro real quick. Question of the week. Question of the week. Question of the week. Boy, oh boy, did we have a question of the week. And here's what it was. It says, what was the most surprising moment of USFL week 5? And I mean, it was the week. Many people called it the week of upsets. I'm going to go here. Ducky, community legend. You know, he came in hot to trot on this one. So I'll take the blowback. I'll do you the favor, Zach. Here's what Ducky, not me, had to say. Stallions fans blaming the refs for their team being undisciplined was the most surprising for me. No comment from me.
But again, he's right. We talked about this in our own Discord server. The only ones they can blame, you can argue for one. I only saw one bad call, but even after that, they had the chances to make this comeback happen, and they still let it slide out of their fingers. That's why I agree with him. Mm-hmm. You know, he's on the same page as I am. They let this happen to themselves. Oh. They self-destructed. So that was great. I love Giddy Up podcast here going week 5.
Just the whole thing.
Just week 5 in general, which sure, you got stellar, you got upsets across the, you got 2 upsets, the kicking game. You know, I think Houston making a statement win. Yeah, that definitely makes week 5 definitely feel like it meant something even a little bit more for this season. I'll get it. Here's this one I'll read just because Louise, but Luis Aguilar, this is Emery Lewis, by the way, on our Twitter. Luis Aguilar, dude said, fine, I'll do it myself, and won the game on his own. Good win for the Stars, but the offense needs to get it together. They can't rely on kicking wins every week. And I agree, you know, you have to finish drives. When you have 8 drives stall like that, that means that first off, you did get bailed off by your kicker. But second, you got to figure out 1 or 2 things to keep that going in motion, and you got to just execute. That's a simple thing. Hell, that inside the drive, you know, with Case Cookus, I'm trying to remember which receiver he was throwing to, but essentially slide overthrow. That the first play of first down was an overthrow. It was an open pass. They could have gotten within the 20, and then they had to settle for basically an incompletion and a quick run play.
100%.
And so I agree with Emery here. Now, Philadelphia, good progress, but that's not going to win you every game. You can't rely on Aguilar to be getting you 8 kicks a game because it's only happened 2 times, and he's done it once.
Now, I will say this. I do like seeing we have a Breakers fan being a little humble. Breakers season over on Twitter. Showboats continuing to create turnovers on defense against the undefeated Breakers. Even I can admit that the defense was suffocating the O-line. So, I mean, you kind of love to see that, especially after this weekend. There was a lot of angry fans all over the place. Teams were unexpected wins, unexpected losses, anger flying all over the place. Nice to see a little bit of humility there. But so everybody, here's the real deal. We're going to be putting out questions of the week. Just stay tuned. After the games conclude on Sunday, it could drop Monday or Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday. I don't know. It depends when I get a good question in my silly little brain.
We'll be sure moving forward to add question of the week into the tweets.
Maybe.
So we can make sure you
maybe
don't
not.
miss.
Maybe I won't, Zach. You got to be refreshing that page. You got to respond to every one of our tweets. Every single one.
I got it. Okay.
I'm just saying. Fair's fair.
Right.
Fair's fair. Week 6, though, we are week 5. Get out of here. Halfway point. No one cares. We're in the second half of the season. Week 6. First game up. Maulers and Showboats. 12:30 Eastern on USA. Zach. 3 weeks ago, I think a lot of people would have been looking at this and saying, that is going to be a snore fest. After last week, you saw the Showboats take out the last of the undefeated teams. You saw the Maulers maul our team, the Panthers. #1 fan over here. I don't know, Zach. What are your thoughts going in? What is your pick on this game here, buddy?
Funny you say I don't know, because I originally was going to go definitively with the Maulers, but credit the Showboats again. Defense, they've stepped up in that category. It's funny, both sides have improved in things that they have struggled on in overall. You know, Memphis needed some defensive help. Credit, I guess they need both phases, but really they did need defensive help. When you go up 42, you have to get a gut check. When you go up 30 the next week, you have to give a gut check. And both weeks since they have been living it up to the hype. They've been getting pressure on teams these past 2 weeks, 4 sacks against MBT. And that's something that the Maulers, they do struggle a bit in the protection scheme. However, they have defensive presence on the opposite side. It's going to be the hardest test for the Showboats since the Birmingham Stallions contest in week 2. Do I think that the Memphis offense is able to overcome a Pittsburgh defense? No, I do not. I actually think Pittsburgh will be able to walk away with this win. It's not as convincing as I originally thought it would be, but I'm high on Pittsburgh. I'm making Yinzer folk out in Western Pennsylvania very happy the last few weeks because, again, this team is starting to live up to what we were thinking in off-season projections of what they could potentially be. Although with some different changes at QB, nonetheless, defense has been living up to the hype. They get Reuben Foster back this week, by the way. Massive addition to a defense that has been playing like they don't even need him, but they definitely could use someone with that nature and that ball hawking skill that Reuben Foster has. Memphis, on the other hand, they have positives they can build into this game, obviously. They're on the high from beating New Orleans. I do worry about the withdrawal from that. They do get to go home. That is a key. Crowd's going to be looking pretty good, apparently, according to ticket sales right now for this Showboats potential game. So they do have that in their corner. I just like where Pittsburgh's heading. Defensively, I think that they slow down Memphis enough. Offensively, I think they actually keep building on what they've been doing. I got Pittsburgh in this. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring. I don't think you hit a 30 burger for either one of these teams. Give me like 20-13. And I think that's a reasonable amount that Pittsburgh can hold the Showboats to. And I think Pittsburgh has done enough offensively in terms of getting John Tomlinson's scheme in the right direction to where they can put 20 on Memphis and walk away with a 1-possession win.
100%. So you know what? I tend to agree with you. I think the Maulers are going to put it out. Will it be a blowout? By no means, but it'll be a fun game to kick off the weekend. I'll tell you that much. Moving to the second game, man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I only have one thing to say to you. The Panthers are coming to hunt. This streak ends this week. And it's partially the Panthers. Okay. It's partially the Panthers. It's partially that I am the number one fan. But it's also due in part that the Stallions, we talked about this earlier, they're beaten. They're broken down. They're battered. And you know what? The worst part of all, they're making mistakes. They're making mistakes that are costing them the game. Now, if everybody last week was worried about refs rigging a game, I would love to see the excuse when the Stallions lose this week against the Panthers in Ford Field, because that can't be an excuse. The refs aren't ever going to help a Detroit team, a Michigan team, or whatever team, a home team in Ford Field. So that excuse goes right out the window. But I think the Panthers pull it out. I think Love gets the start. I think we do see Eric Barrier in the game. I think we'll probably see the coach at minimum put Barrier in, even if Love is doing good, just to get him kind of ready, get him into the game plan, get him in the rhythm, in some real game action, in the off chance that they really need to lean on him in the second half of the season. We talked about it before, Zach. Everybody's tied for 2 and 3 in the North. The Panthers have just as good of a shot as everybody else. Now, when I look at overall games, the first 5 games, although the Panthers have lost 3, they all have lost 3, I would say the first 2 weeks of the Panthers season look better than any of the weeks of any of the other teams in the North season. And that's coming from me, the number one Panthers fan, the Panther. Book it. Panthers win this weekend. The streak ends now.
I don't know about that. I know you're partially playing a bit here.
I'm not. Everything I say is legitimate.
Okay.
And straight from the heart.
I'll give you. All right. I see how it is. Again, I'm the realist. This is bitter Zach. This is the Zach you see when I watch Bears games. I am average to watch with. You don't want me by you if you're an optimist. You want me 2 bar stools away right now and just enjoying my beer. Okay. I'll give you and throw you a bone here as to things that will help Michigan, though. First things first, and this is something that I think has been a little troubling for me watching the Stallions. Pass rush, they're one of the worst in the league at getting a pass rush going. And that's something that Michigan has been struggling with in some of their losses, is keeping arms away from the quarterback, keeping guys away from the QB so that Josh Love can get the ball over the line. Now, part of that I think is coming on Josh Love at this point. He's been getting it to the point where it's almost expected in the 3 straight losses that he has a ball or 2 knocked down. That's on him getting the ball over the line. But the linemen also need to get their hands down and get a better job at creating a pocket. The Stallions have 7 sacks this year. That is 1 better than Philadelphia, who is the worst in the league at pass rush, surprisingly. And that is 5 behind Houston at 12. Everyone else has double-digit sacks in the USFL, except for 2 teams. And it's not like they've had massive injuries really on the front line. That's not the section of their defense that's been affected the most, which is troubling to me. Scooby Wright would help that regard. But still, it's been a weak part of their game. That helps Michigan, gives them a little more time. You can try and bully ball it a little bit in the run game, something that Houston was able to do at times last week. You can get a little more time for whoever's passing in this game. I'm with you. I think at some point Eric Berrier comes in, because unless Josh Love changes a new leaf because he gets a little more protection, something's happened with him. I don't get it. And I think you just got to spark something. I think what's going to happen, Magoo's going to go up by 7. You maybe get like a turnover. Either Eric Marty or Mike Nolan says this is the last straw, pulls him. Right. And then they do the same song and dance. But I think Berrier does come out and play ball. He did against New Jersey last year. I know he's capable of doing. We know he's capable of doing. He got buried because of Josh Love, how he played last season, and Carson Strong's prospect. But they kept him on because they know what he's able to do. I think he comes in, you see a guy basically turn into what is a Cole Kelly figure right now and has better production. I just don't think they win. That's the thing. I think Alex Magoo has enough to muster up and beat the pass defense that Michigan can provide. He's able to maneuver Breland Speaks and company. Garrett Marino's out for this game too, by the way. It's going to be a little harder.
Sure. No, 100%. It's going to be a beat 'em up kind of game. That's for sure. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw with the Gamblers last week. But again, similar enough, I think the Panthers pull it out. So Sunday, we got the Breakers coming to try to redeem themselves. This time they're taking on the Stars here. 12 p.m. Eastern, FS1. Zach, break it down for me. Who you got?
Oh, man. FS1 matchup, New Orleans getting 12 o'clock games. It is like a marriage made in awkward heaven.
Right.
Or an awkward marriage made in heaven. I don't get it. For a fan base that has been looking like they are going to be the most obvious to get a home stadium next, it surprises me they get put in these time slots, but I digress. New Orleans is coming in. Yes, they had an off game against the Memphis Showboats. Defensively, they still played an excellent game. Offensively, they got bullied up front a little bit. You know what helps? Similar to what helps with Michigan in the game we just talked about. What did I just say? Philadelphia, they are the worst pass rush team in the USFL. 6 sacks to their name. That is going to do tremendously for New Orleans in both fronts. They are also one of the worst rush defenses in the league. Even after last week, New Jersey was still able to have their way in the run game. They just turned the ball over. The simple solution for me with New Orleans, play disciplined football. Because otherwise on the opposite side, and I'll give credit, Bart Andrus will probably still adapt and continue to adjust his offense. I think eventually you find that you're going to get an opportune sack or a turnover off of pressuring Case Cookus on the opposite side of the ball, and then you run away with it. I got New Orleans to me in a comfortable win. I know it was a really impressive win defensively for the Philadelphia Stars last week, but I don't see enough going Philadelphia's way to come in with a Breakers team that MBT looked pissed off at the end of that game against Memphis. They didn't get too much beyond a few shots, but you could tell he was actively frustrated at how poor he was performing and how poor that at least that offense was performing. And I imagine Flip was acting the same way. We just didn't get enough sideline shots of him losing it, because they're not going to do the same thing 2 weeks in a row. This is too good of a team. They're going to get a win against Philadelphia in Detroit and get the thing right back on the tracks after basically getting on the side for one game. That's how it is.
Yeah.
New Orleans is going to be 4-1 or 5-1 after this week.
I'm feeling you. I think it's a redemption day, a redemption game. I think they're going to come. I think they're going to rebound. I think they're going to take care of the Stars here, which leads us to the final game of the weekend. Best for last, might say. Best for last. We have the Generals taking on the Gamblers, 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. And Zach, 2 words. All in, baby. You should know the pick before it's even coming because I told you earlier in the season, we're sweeping the rest of the season. Gamblers are going all in. Now, I will say, are we going to see the Generals of last week? No. Do I expect Darius Victor to drop the ball as many times as he did last week? Hell no. Do I think the Gamblers, coaches, and all that know that? Absolutely. They're going to be preparing for a hard team and a very well-coached team. I mean, when I look at the Stars and the Generals, Andrus and Riley, I mean, they seem to have something about it when it comes to spring football teams. We saw it last year, and I think they'll be able to turn these ships around. So that worries me going into this game as a Gamblers fan. But at the end of the day, I'm going all in. I mean, the Gamblers, Mark Thompson. In Mark, we trust, buddy. Kiki Chisholm making a flippin' name for himself. It seems like every week now he's making a big play for the Gamblers, and I expect them to extend that. And honestly, like I said, it's not going to be the same Generals that the Stars played last week. But you know the coaches are watching that as well as all of the other film this year to see, well, if they made this many mistakes, what other mistakes are they making? How can we break through this line? How can we break through and get to the end zone and put up some points and end out the weekend with the win? So again, all in, I'm going Houston Gamblers. Zach, agree, disagree? What do you think?
I don't think you have a wrong analysis on this. I just think that if you're looking at the overall scope of who they played this season, this will be your most challenging defensive test is New Jersey, because they still have to play Pittsburgh later in the year, which I can't say it's the most challenging because Pittsburgh does, I think, have a half step better defense.
Sure.
But you are going to be put in your most, I would say, your most pressuring situations will be against the Generals in terms of I think, getting opportunities, not to mention that the Generals pass rush, they have the most sacks in the league. They have some dogs on that line. Toby Johnston has been getting back to defenders on a consistent basis this year, and I think that's going to keep on providing some problems. You're going to have to settle down, and you're going to have to dig deep. It's going to be a grit of a game. That's how New Jersey plays it. These aren't runaway games. You have to play their game. You have to be able to kind of, I would say, methodically move down the field. You're not going to find explosive plays as often. If you do, then we're going to have to reevaluate again just even how much better Houston is. But Generals are going to make you play their game. You just have to play their game better, and that is stay patient, create less mistakes, stay disciplined like last week because they were disciplined, and you can walk away with a win. I think it's a winnable game. I think the other question is, who does New Jersey trot out as the QB? We won't find out that until a little later after the show's posted because they haven't dropped that depth chart. But that's a big question this week, even if we're talking the turf, because Mike Riley opened that door.
Oh, 100%.
And so now we have to wait on seeing who is behind door number 1.
And you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to every game this week. I'm looking forward to them all.
I really am too.
Halfway through the season, hitting up the second half, we're getting so close to the championship game, which means we're getting that much closer to spring or summer stock. Oh my goodness. What reality I'm in. The Panther doesn't even know what time of year we're heading towards. Anyway, I'm the number 1 Panthers fan now, Zach. How exciting. We have the number 1 Panthers fan as a host on our show. I mean, world recognized number 1 Panthers fan, the Panther. I got to go change the color of my car now. I got to go get like a burgundy or a champagne colored Tesla to match my new and always real to me personality, the Panther. The number 1 Panthers fan in the world. All in. Let's hunt.
I'm so happy that you are that nothing phases you, because I see signs and I go, well, it's been a ride. I'll ride it out because I'm not a quitter. But boy, do I know I'm going to suffer as one of these people that clings on.
Not anymore, Zach, because I'm here to fix the season. And like I said, when your playoffs are inevitably on the line, at that final game of the season, I'm going to be there. The number 1 Panthers fan. I might even wear this get up. And just to really bring everything full circle. My love,
hey, until the Panthers win again, I ain't pulling out that button-up shirt because they need to prove to me that they were that team that won 2 straight, that beat Houston week 1.
This is why they're not winning, Zach. You have no heart in them. You have no faith in them. That's why I'm here.
I did.
I'm doubling down for you.
I had faith for 3 weeks, and then you know what happened? Enough. They lost to Memphis.
It's not long enough.
That loss to Memphis was the one that killed me. That's the one that got me going and saying, "Wow, we really forgot how to play."
Well, next week
they did it again.
Well, next week when I'm celebrating the Panthers and the Gamblers win, which hasn't been something that's happened this season yet, but when I'm celebrating them both, you're not allowed to the party, Zach. How you like that?
I mean, that's fine. Because I don't believe they're going to win anyway. And I'll have plenty of bourbon over here on my side of the United States. And I'll go, yep, this is exactly what I was expecting.
You're too
Swirls
much,
it around,
Zach.
takes a sip. Pitiful.
I'm not letting you celebrate if the Panthers win the championship. I hope you know that. I hope you know that well. Either way, we have a whole half a season before we get to the playoffs, Zach. Any last thoughts before we go into some housekeeping stuff and ride off into the sunset for another week?
Yeah, I do hope that the Panthers do get a win. But again, I'm a realist. It's how I play my teams, man. I'm a realist. Words. I got nothing.
Hey,
I got nothing.
It is what it is.
You've thrown me off with the get up today because I just don't. I don't get it.
Well, I'll give you some good news, Zach. The answer is always yes. This is the weekend for the Panthers.
If it was always yes, I'd have 4 wins. Don't you dare.
Well, you gave up on your team. Now I'm here. I'm the number one Panthers fan. I'm the number one fan.
Your energy should provide wins.
We're gonna now because I'm the number one fan. I didn't have the hat before.
Now we're gonna get it. Okay. Now we're going to win.
Anyway, this is our week, guys. Panthers, let's all say it together. 3, 2, 1. Let's hunt. Let's go. All in, baby, for the South. Before we ride into the sunset, here's the real deal. Social media, what the hell are you doing? You need to be following us at USFL Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even the TikTok. We're going to have that summer stock dance, so you want to make sure you're subscribed for when it drops. Speaking of summer stock, June 30th, July 1st. So nice. We're doing it twice and we're covering 2 months. How crazy is that? But day 1, we're doing a group tour, the Pro Football Hall of Fame in beautiful Canton, Ohio, but not to be outdone because day 2, we're going live. The party's in the parking lot, and for real this time, because we're doing a live tailgate and live stream for the USFL Championship. Come out there, have a good time in person, but if you can't make it, we get it. You can tune in over on YouTube, which, hey, if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Click the bell. It builds morale, and we all need it, especially Panthers fans. Make sure you're clicking that bell. We need the morale. Rise up, Panthers fans. We're doing it this week. Let's hunt, baby. But make sure you subscribe. If you don't click the button to get the morale, then it's their fault, Zach, that the Panthers don't win this week.
Hey, get the morale so you can listen to the realist in the group. Because I'm not buying this facade. I know what this is all about.
We'll see. You know what? We'll have this discussion next week. All in. Let's hunt. But before we go, one last thing. We know you like merch. We know you like the USFL, and even more so, we know you love a discount. Head over to breakingt.com/USFL Newsroom or simply use the code USFL Newsroom for 10% off anything you order. They got XFL gear. They got USFL gear. They got NFL gear. They got MLB gear. You can use our coupon on all of them, but you know what I'm picking up, Zach? In Mark We Trust, all in. That's the latest shirt.
Oh, no. You're the number one Panther. You're the number one Panthers
I'm
fan.
also a Gamblers fan.
You got to pick the one that's give me the ball.
Oh, I'll get that one too. I'll get it too. You're right.
Pick up Mark Thompson.
You're right. No, I can get them both.
Fan. You can't do 2 ways. This isn't how this works.
No, I think it is, but I'll get
No. Because I've been picking up Stallions gear. Well, and I can't do that.
Why not? I have Stallions gear. Anyway, You can save 10% off no matter what your team is. And I'm going to save 10% off my Gamblers and Panthers merch because I'm the #1 Panthers fan. I think that's it for this week. Zach, it's been fun. I can't wait until we talk next week. And until next time, guys, sign you up.